Buen dia, everyone. Welcome to another edition of What Do You Need to Know to Live in Costa Rica? Today, we're answering your November questions. That is right. It's another Q&A from your team at Your Puerto Vida. I am Patrick Jager, joined as always by my good friend and business partner, Mr. Aaron Bailey. Hello, sir.
Pura vida, Patrick. Hello, hello from San Jose. It's a beautiful day here in Costa Rica.
It is. Rainy season is ending, so
Thank goodness.
yeah,
Oh my
we're thrilled
goodness.
with that. Well, we're going to get into your monthly questions, but before we do that, Aaron, remind them of how they participate in what we do.
Yes, if you find value in these videos and really like watching these two weirdos talk, we would really appreciate a thumbs up button on the video, like, follow, subscribe, do all the things. You know the
All
drill,
of the things.
people. We really appreciate it. That helps other people find our content. And for the free content that we're putting out, it's the least that you could do. So,
All right. Well, it is actually the most you can do is send us a question for one of these because we love to get your
good
questions.
point.
These are questions that come primarily off of our other videos, but also some that come off of emails. And we try to pull a few every month that either people want clarification from something that we said before or just an interesting one. So, Aaron, this first one is for you.
You teed me up for this, but how am I going to answer this? Okay, I'm just going to go for it. Are you guys okay? Haven't seen a video in a while, just checking in. Yeah, I know. Listen, we are okay. We've been busy cooking up a lot of really exciting things that we are not quite ready to share yet. But more importantly, we have been working with so many amazing people moving to Costa Rica, some families, some retirees, some individuals. I've had a lot of fun with this current group of people moving in. And
Yeah,
so that's where we've been.
it's funny. We try to be really diligent about this because you guys are great. I think one of the challenges for us is, yeah, sometimes time gets away from us and we're like, oh my gosh. I also have had some family issues that I've been dealing with up here in the States. Very excited to be back in Costa Rica, hopefully by the time you watch this video. So yes, we have been a little nutty, but we are okay. Okay,
We are
next
okay.
one. This came as a statement in response to one of our videos, and it got some kind of buzz around the statement, so we wanted to address it. The healthcare system in Costa Rica is horrible. Stop telling people otherwise. This is a backwards country. I'm going to push back on that. Horrible is relative. If you have a PPO plan that's paid for primarily by your employer in the United States, sure, it might feel like the healthcare system is harder to navigate, or you don't know because you're not part of it. If the horrible is the wait, and the same thing you can ask French viewers in Canada, some of them will say the exact same thing. Because it's a communal system for all, you get access to amazing things with amazing doctors, but sometimes the wait can be a challenge. But the healthcare system in this country, especially looking at the size of this country, I mean, this country is a fifth the size of Mexico City. Shocking. I was just in Central Africa a few months ago, where they had two hospitals that represented the same amount of people as the entire population of Costa Rica. That is a horrible healthcare system. Here, it might be a little slow. You might have some communication problems, but there are no statistics or data anywhere that says this is a horrible system. Quite to the contrary, there are a lot of data that say that for this region, this is an incredible system.
My father has been waiting 3 months to see a specialist in the United States.
Right.
So I push back on the waiting time. Overall in Costa Rica, if you want to see a private doctor, you can get in really quickly. If you want to see a public healthcare doctor, it might take you a little bit of time. But so you kind of navigate both systems. And I also this is not a backwards country. And to say any country is backwards really shows some ignorance. So let's not use that language.
Let's also say that there are assumptions that people make that it's just going to be a one-to-one. There's a blend. Like if you are a retiree and you are on Medicare in the States and you have to go to the Caja here, there might be some translation differences for you in quality because your Medicare might have had a supplemental, which made it more of a PPO. I'm sounding so like insurance guy now right now.
You are.
But I think the reality is that you have options. You can look for private insurance in Costa Rica that allows you to have a lot of access to private pay as well as international. You can keep your Medicare, the primary medical being in the States or Canada or wherever and go back. So it's not about is the system good or bad? It's about how do you best work with the system for what you need in your life.
Exactly. Well said. All right. Next question. We our Panama video continues to get absurd number of views and
It's great.
just great, some crazy comments. And listen, people, we love Panama, and you can't compare the two countries side by side. But this is another comment that I think shows that the two countries are just very different. They say, what about Boquete area as far as the weather? Boquete in Panama. So we said in our video that Panama City, Panama generally is really hot and humid. Yes, there are places in Panama that are much more temperate and mild and not like Panama City, which is often horrible.
Hot.
Hot, horribly hot. Not horrible,
Yeah.
horribly hot.
I mean, the thing about Boquete that I think is interesting, it's very similar to what you see here. It's in the highlands. It's next to Baru volcano. It's a beautiful area. But if you look, its rainy season is almost identical to the rainy season in Costa Rica. So yes, there are parts. Let us just make very clear. There are lots of places in Panama that you can go and retire and live in beautiful weather. But the vast majority of people that we have talked to retiring in Panama is in or near, relatively near, within, an hour of Panama City. And that's what we were comparing. So maybe we need to update our Panama video.
No, God, no, please, no. Please, please,
Okay,
no.
okay,
We
okay,
should,
okay.
we should. We really should, because it's a great topic.
Okay, here's one.
All
If
right.
we are wanting to use your services to assist with the scouting trip, how far in advance do you suggest we start that process? It would be our first trip, but we have done some significant research already and feel we have a good idea where we want to explore first. I think what we would say is the more lead time, the better. But that doesn't mean necessarily 6 months out. We've helped people that have reached out to us, and then we have an itinerary to them for their trip the next week. So that can work. I think the thing is, we really believe it's in depth. We don't have a cookie cutter boilerplate that we just pop out and say, oh, here's your 3 cities. We literally look for what are the things that are important to you. If you say it's art supply stores, which we just had, we've talked about it in the past. We've done theater programs for people, or baseball programs, or pickleball, or local gyms, or meditation centers, or whatever that thing, and local emergency rooms. Like we want to make sure that you are exploring the country that really is defined by you, not off of some sheet of paper. So the more time we have for that, the better. But realistically, if we have a month, that's a great amount of time. For us, it's also though based on how long you're going to be there. The thing that's really hard is if you say, I want to explore all of Costa Rica in 5 days. I liken that to the people that go to Europe and it's Tuesday must be Belgium, and the next day they're going to be in the Netherlands. Yes, you were there, but you really didn't get to see it. So part of this for us is we try to match that you see a good amount of anywhere you go, and we'd rather have you go to less places and spend more time than the opposite. So again, we will work with you however you want, but truly reach out. We have a lot of people that reach out. We talked to somebody yesterday that they're talking about doing this next year, but they want to talk now because they want to plan around some other things around it. So they want to get at least the logistics locked, even if we don't have the scouting report locked.
And I think the other thing to note here is that it depends on when you're coming and where you're going in Costa Rica. The high season, if you're wanting to visit during the high season in Tamarindo, for example, you're going to have very few Airbnb options
Mhm.
in February versus if you wanted to explore the Central Valley in November, for example. So, give yourself 6 months if you really want to find good Airbnb properties to stay in, especially if you're in the high season. But even 2 to 3 months is a good lead time. It all depends.
Yeah, great point. All right, what do you got?
All right. Will you consider telling us how much you paid for your houses? I think it would be helpful to put things in perspective. I'm going to push back. I have no problem saying what I paid for my house, but I don't, put things in perspective is a loaded phrase there because if I tell you what I paid, you're gonna think that the view of what you think I live in uh, is available for that price tomorrow, and that's
Yeah.
simply often not the case. We have helped people with budgets of 150,000, and we've helped people with budgets of $1.5 million. Condos versus empty lots. I have friends who buy empty lots at 15, 20,000 US dollars. Um, it all depends on where you're at. And Costa Rica is a small country, but it's an incredibly diverse country. And the real estate in real estate opportunities in Costa Rica are also diverse. There's lots of different options.
Also, I think another really big point is, what is the type of house you want? Are you thinking about a North American standard or are you thinking about a Tico standard? What I mean by North American is, do you expect a dishwasher and washer dryer and pool and high ceilings and screens in all the windows and blah, 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 right? There's nothing wrong with Tico homes. I have stayed in many a Tico home and they're beautiful and they're wonderful, but a lot of people are like, oh, the bugs got in. Well, you know, those types are the types of things that also predicate what people pay. I mean, I got very lucky on the house that I bought. I could probably sell it for quite a bit more than I bought it for, 3 years ago, but things take longer to sell too. So, yes, I'm comfortable if someone asks me in a meeting how much I paid for my house, and I give them the caveats. But I think you're right. I think here it's really more about we don't want to oversell expectations. Both you and I lucked out on what we got in a lot of ways, and both you and I have also felt some buyer's remorse on what we got.
Mhm.
So us talking about the house as if like it's all that's the standard. Yeah, it probably doesn't make sense in this venue.
No, we really have to give tours and show the location, and it's really hard to do via video. And
Yeah,
so it's a much longer conversation, I think.
yeah, I would agree. Okay. Um, Here's one about work. My biggest issue is that as a nurse in the States, I'm trying to figure out how to produce enough income to live in Costa Rica. I had my CELTA, and it's probably I could do remote telehealth nursing. Well, yeah, I think the thing with nursing or anything like that, you can't work in Costa Rica. That is true, unless for some reason you were hired on and they vouched for you and got you your visa, but I think that would be very, very, very hard to do. um, but I think there's two ways to look at this. Like I have many friends, including one of my neighbors who's a ER doc, and he does 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So he'll do 2 weeks in the States, and then he comes home for 2 weeks, and so he just does he figures out how to have kind of the best of both worlds. I know other people that are travel nurses who do a travel rotation, and then they just take a nice chunk off and come back to Costa Rica for a month, month and a half, recharge, and then go back out and travel. Um, I think the best rule of thumb is if you are working and work is important to your being able to live here, and that's true for both of us, um, you must think about your work opportunities based on the country you come from, not Costa Rica. Costa Rica is not going to tax you on money that you make back home. So, make your money back home. And if you can do that through telehealth, amazing. If you have to do that by commuting and you couch surf or whatever that is, all great. It is a challenge for a lot of people that work. They're like, oh, I'll come down, I'm going to open up a fruit stand. Well, I mean, you can do that illegally, or you can own a fruit stand and you hire Ticos to work the fruit stand and you earn a profit off of the fruit stand. But like, we will never recommend that you come down and look for work, even under the table. They just,
Correct.
we're like, we won't do that. But for you, that's the nurse that's thinking about moving down, feel free to reach out and let's talk about like figure out if this is even the place you'd want to have some split time. For some people, it makes idyllic sense, but then they're like, you know what? There's no direct flight from where I live, and it takes a whole day and a half, and that never mind, it's no longer fun for me. That's a reality. This definitely is not the place for everyone. But if it works for you and you feel that recharge, yeah, figure out a way to do it. Telehealth is a
Yeah.
great way to do it.
Awesome. Okay, next question. Can a couple live comfortably in Atenas, Costa Rica with a $5,000 a month budget, including rent? And again, this goes back to some loaded phrases in that live comfortably. Yeah, there are people in Atenas who live on far less than $5,000 a month, and there are probably people who live on far more than $5,000 a month. And so it's really about finding what is your comfort, what are your expectations, and oftentimes you don't even know what those expectations are until you get here and start living the lifestyle and seeing, oh yeah, no, I don't like that, or I can adapt, I can do that, and your budget will need to go up and down depending on your experience. So again, it's hard to answer that question, but $5,000 would get you, I think, a really nice life in most places in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and I think that part of that is what are you talking about for that 5,000? Does that 5,000 include renting a car? Does that 5,000 include you want a, three-bedroom house with a view and a pool, or are you okay being, on a two-bedroom house with no pool, no view in the city? Like, are you driving to Auto Mercado every day to shop, or are you shopping at Le Coupé or, the Central Market? Like there are a lot of ways, but I would agree with you. I live for quite a bit less than 5,000 a month in Costa Rica. I do own my car. I do own my house. So I'm not paying things the same way that you would be paying if you are, not having that. But yes, I think that the best rule of thumb, Aaron, that you've said many times is like determine the lifestyle you want and then figure it out if that lifestyle works for you. Not, don't try to shoot like if you're used to eating out every night and doing Postmates and you are, in and going to concerts and traveling and doing all this stuff, and then you want to say, oh, but I have to do all that on a budget, you know, you're either going to have to adjust it or realize that that's not for you. But yeah, I think that's a very comfortable amount of money.
I'm reminded of another YouTuber who I saw 6 months ago, maybe, who moved to Costa Rica with his family and had a full-time nanny, a full-time driver, a full-time housekeeper, like, and was complaining about the cost of living in Costa Rica. Well, come on. Like, it was like, are you trolling us here or did this actually happen? Absurd. So, yes, just get down here, visit. Things start to become in perspective when you can actually see on the ground how much things cost.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, that is the end of our questions for November. I mean, it's a smaller list than we normally have, I think. But I wanna make a plug. A lot of people leave comments, a lot of people like engage, share this with other people, help us grow this community. We're doing this very organically. We're not putting money into paid. We're not putting, we love what we do and we are happy with the community that we are building and we love the people that we've helped move to Costa Rica. Every single one. There's a reason why they're here. They will survive, they will thrive. So that makes us feel great. So please, as Aaron said at the beginning, like, share, sign up, send questions, engage. We love answering these questions. This is actually our favorite video every month because we
It
really
is.
know we get to know you a little bit, and that feels really great. And as Aaron hinted, we have some really cool things that we're about to announce that we think is going to help the community and Costa Rica as a whole. So we're super, super excited about that.
Hola at yourpuravida.com to ask questions or to talk to us about potentially our services or just asking questions about Costa Rica. www.yourpuravida.com/links gets you all of our blog posts, our videos, all of our service pages. Very loud truck going on outside, but that's all right. Living in the city. Yes, we would love to hear from you. Hola at yourpuravida.com. Until next time, Patrick. Pura Vida.
Pura vida.